Hello, my lovelies. I'm Jenny O, the author with no last name, and today I want to talk about Star Stable and the Jane Scullman situation. Hi, Jane, or member of Jane's team, in case you're listening. Usually, when I do Star Stable content, I run around in the game itself, jumpy little horses with the avatar on the screen and talk over it just to keep people engaged. And sometimes I got stuff on the screen, sometimes I don't, it depends. And I also, when I'm doing Star Stable content, and I've noticed this a lot with a lot of Star Stable content creators, they are also behind a screen, behind an avatar. They're just a voice. So today, I am not doing that because I want you to see my face. And I want you to see my face because I'm a person. That there is a person behind that screen. So, for those of you who do not know, it is Wednesday, the December 20th. And roughly a week and a half ago, Dennis Wystorm put out a video where he made an urgent call to Star Stable about the racing system, whatever, his usual. And this time I guess he included a few more constructive things like ideas, and in the comments of that video, Jane Scullman 6932, the random numbers assigned to you by Google, responded to him to say that the SSO executive team did watch his videos. That, she was the executive producer of Star Stable and she'd seen his video. And then about a week later, he put out a video where he claimed to have actually talked to Jane herself, and that in the video, he said Jane claimed that people at Star Stable watch the videos, and if they like a content creator's videos, they'll watch more than just the SSO content. So hi, Jane team member, or Jane yourself. Welcome to my channel. I didn't want to go over this in my 2023 review because, let's face it, that was over an hour. And I feel that this is important enough to address in its own video. I am not shocked. Given the pattern of what has been going on over the last several years, I am not shocked. I am not mad. I have abandoned anger a long time ago over anything Star Stable does. What I am is I am disappointed. This is exceedingly suspect behavior, as the kids would say. As I would say, this is borderline wishy-washy on the legality side of what they're doing. And I have had people come in my comments, because I have commented before kind of directly at the team. And I've had people come into my comments and tell me, Jenny, you're just a little Star Stable, you're just a little creator, you've got 500 people, you're not big enough, Star Stable's not watching you. But there has been a pattern that I have been watching over several years since I put out my first Star Stable How Not to Make an MMO series, where yes, I used my face because I wanted people to be my face. I was willing to put my face to it. I will do that. Things that I had mentioned, brought up, hammered on in my Star Stable content videos, sometimes usually within 6 months to a year, get implemented into the game. And it's not just me. This is something we don't talk about as Star Stable creators because a lot of Star Stable creators don't talk to each other. But our people who watch our videos talk to us. And they bring news to other people, you know, to other content creators. And we have all noticed this pattern. I mean, maybe not all of us, but enough of us have noticed this pattern that there has been a notable drop-off in Star Stable content, meta content, especially among older creators. Now, I don't like the term content creator. It kind of corporatizes something that probably shouldn't be corporatized. It puts like this bureaucratic language barrier between what we're actually doing, you know, and what they, you know, want us to say we're doing so they can farm us for content. It makes it sound a lot nicer if they can farm us for content rather than what they're doing. Stealing our work, stealing our ideas, stealing is wrong, which is something we learn in kindergarten or primary school. So that is why this pattern of behavior I've seen, you know, I'll say something, and it's usually not something massively big, you know. I've talked about game pillars or talked about color corrections. And it, you know, or having a haze filter in the distance. Things like that. Things that could be, oh, Ginny, they were going to do that anyway. That's low-hanging fruit, you know? Yes. And it's been low-hanging fruit because I have made it low-hanging fruit. Because I've noticed this pattern of behavior from them, taking from creatives, from people who talk meta, who come up with ideas and storylines. I've seen them taking from them the non-low-hanging fruit. And those creatives have stopped creating. Because we, as creative people, as artists, I am an author. You know, when I did my huge thing, I kind of labeled it with my name and whatever, and I know Star Stable saw it because they reblocked it, or, you know, gave me a little like and comment, okay? I was very careful to blast my name and email over everything. And I was, you know, making sure that if they tried to take anything out of it, I would know. But when I was putting that out, I knew at the time that they were changing things so much that what I was putting out there was no way they were going to take it. Okay? For the most part. Maybe the clothes, but for the most part. Because they had changed things so much. And I was also working heavily on things that had already been put out into the game. It was an edit. It wasn't me redoing things. So I was very careful. Because I didn't want Star Stable taking my work. I didn't want them exploiting me. They have a very bad habit of exploitation. Thinking, Jenny, those are terrible, harsh words. Yes, they are terrible and harsh words. There is a reason in the past 20 years that I have been running around the internet that I can count on two hands. People who have been in fandom, artists, writers, who have been contacted by agents, by IP holders, to come work on projects. Whether they are the actual IP, like the Avatar Last Bender illustrator who got to become an animator because his works were so popular and so good and so close to the originals that they wanted him on the team. or the author who wrote a very popular Buffy vampire fiction story that was so close to what they wanted to do, they hired them for the writing team. Or the people who write fanfic and agents on their off hours or reading fanfic, and they really like the writing style, so they contact the author to write books that are technically original IP. Some of them are more original than others. Two hands. It's a unicorn. And it's a unicorn for a very good reason. I have done videos on copyright, and I have done that video covered trademarks as well. Creators outside of Disney, because Disney is a massive corporation and they have insane lawyers and they want to bend and push copyright as much as possible. But most IP holders, corporations, do not hang out in the fandom space because they don't want to be held legally liable if they accidentally on purpose plagiarize from the fandom space. And here in America, where we're a lot more litigation happy, it's more possible to happen than probably in Europe. It's why you see comic book artists like the Fogelos going, "We love your fanfic and we love your fan art. We're glad that you're doing it. Please don't send it to us. We can't look at it." It's why Neil Gaiman goes, "Hi, I'm here on Tumblr, and I love all of you, but please don't send me ideas in the asks. If you send me ideas in the asks, I can't use it." Same for Star Trek script writers on Twitter. In the last 20 years, we've had this really massive falling of the wall between script writers and Hollywood and game developers in the tech valley there, and the common consumer. And this makes things a lot more difficult because original IP holders have to be a lot more vigilant in their internet usage. So in order for the people who are playing their games not to feel exploited and have their ideas stolen, because you need to pay for them. We live in a capitalistic society. Now, you can say, well, they don't own those ideas. They own the execution of those ideas. So if we can look through our videos and go, we see this pattern of behavior, and we can see how you are taking directly from some meta author and directly executing their ideas into your game, that means you need to turn around and hire that meta person to work on your game and give them a salary. That's good. Giving people jobs is good because that means they have more money to put back into your product. It doesn't poison the well of your creatives when you hire them instead of stealing from them and putting it into your game. Now, you're going, Ginny, you can't know this. Look, Johan has come out and said it in an article. He watches Instagram trends. That means to me, if I was on Instagram and I was an artist, I'd be pulling all my art. Because you don't know if he's seen it and if he's taken it. And I know a lot of these horse artists on Instagram, they add SSO and they add Star Stable Online and stuff to their tags because they want the broader audience. And their horses might have nothing to do with, Star Stable or Star Stable Magic horses, whatever. But sometimes they do. And now, in a legitimate company who respects copyright, that company if their CEO or executive producer or somebody on the art team is scrolling through the tags and sees this really great or magic horse concept, they can't use it in a respectable company. They wouldn't use it. So if you're wondering why so many of the horses in Star Stable are low-hanging fruit, well, that's probably why. They, if you are a concept artist for a horse game and you go to Drakenhest, that means everything on Drakenhest is suddenly off limits. It is one thing for me, okay, as somebody who wants to create a horse game, to go around the internet and be looking for stuff about what people want out of horse games as a marketing research, okay? Because then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to create a mechanical document, mechanical document, and a story document and everything like that with my co-creators, and we're gonna go, this is what horse people want, or this is what our type of horse people want, and this is our vision for the game. That's one thing. I don't have access to some sort of professional marketing company or professional company that talks about game mechanics like Star Stable does. I don't have access to you pay a group of children to come in, play your game, do play testing. I don't have access to that. So for me, crowdsourcing the internet for, this is what people want out of horse games, which is pretty low-hanging fruit most of the time, and then going, okay, this is how I want to execute it. That's completely different than, if you're an actual person with millions of dollars at your fingertips, taking very specific ideas from your content creators and implementing them into your game, and then not paying the content creator, not hiring that content creator. Now, I understand that a lot of times, because we are not people, we're not faces, you can't tell how old that content creator is. And you don't want to hire teenagers, even though they've been exploiting them as ambassadors and unpaid employees for years. They don't want to hire them for, the office or management or whatever like that. But not every single content creator that you're taking from is a teenager anymore. The other thing is, I do really want to emphasize this. Knowing that Jane and her team, Johan, people like that, are running around on Tumblr. There are actual game devs on Tumblr. They were, on Instagram, watching TikToks, watching YouTube's channels. It means a lot of your content creators will no longer feel they can be honest. Your ambassadors couldn't feel like they could be honest. I'll tell you that. Now, I've never had this problem. Because when I started doing these videos, that one Star Stable November where I permanently screwed up my Google SEO, I decided I was going to treat Star Stable Online like they were a professional company putting out a game product, like any other professional company putting out a game product. I was going to treat them like they were Blizzard or Riot. I was not here to make friends. I knew that I was probably already blacklisted from my How Not to Make an MMO series about, the history of how Star Stable is made, as I could find the information. I knew that there was no chance of me probably ever becoming an employee of Star Stable Online. And I was okay with that. Because I wanted to hold Star Stable to a standard. The same type of standard that Josh Strife Hayes uses, or the Lazy Peon uses, or Yang Ye uses. I wanted there to be out there something so that Star Stable community could see how Star Stable would fare when they are treated like somebody who puts out their numbers. And I knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I knew it was probably going to cause controversy, and it did spark, I believe, a lot of like documentaries and stuff from other content creators who are a lot bigger than I am. And a lot of people are going to go, well, Jenny, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? If I had $1 million to put into making a video game, I would do it. But I'm not going to sit here and run a Kickstarter and pretend to all of you that $10,000 to $100,000 is going to cut it for a game, even with the new Unreal tools. $10,000 to $100,000 is going to get you a vertical slice with Unity bought assets or Unreal bought assets. That's it. And that's if you have people on your team that know what they're doing. I mean, as far as I can tell, Stride has spent upwards of $200,000 to $300,000, and we don't even have a working vertical slice yet. My last video was all about how, oh no, consequences of the actions, and how Star Stable's actions were basically bringing the chickens home to roost kind of thing. My recommendations is get out of content creator videos. Sit down in one of those meetings, and instead of doing buzzwords and you know, workshops, come up with what you want your game to be. Create a 5-year plan, stick to the plan, always deliver. And stop overhyping. Stop drip feeding content. The thermocline for your game, the trust thermocline, you know, the area of the water where it goes from being nice and tolerable to being super cold, and no, not so tolerable, and pressure is getting a little too much for human existence. Yeah, that thermocline, you've crashed into it, and you are sinking fast. Knowing that you're out here in your content creator videos, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Tumblr, no place is safe type of thing, means the only reason why you haven't been subjected to a lawsuit is because A, we would have to bring the burden of proof, B, you're in Sweden, and a lot of your people who are doing this content creation are not in Sweden, and they're young, and they don't know how to navigate the legal system. So we got travel barriers and language barriers, knowing what's, you know, copyrightable in Sweden, what's not. One of these reviews says that, you know, you guys need to sit down and make some hard decisions. Be more transparent with your devs and listen to your devs. And I'm going to tack on, don't ruin your devs' systems. You had a perfectly good system and then you ruined it. It's hard. to sit here and be kind of this brutally honest with all of you about how disappointed I am that it is the actual second person in the company and the CEO of the company doing this. These are people who are supposed to be experienced, who are supposed to have, you know, degrees in game design or degrees in business, degrees in marketing, something that will apply to what they're doing. Instead, have access in networks to other companies to develop, to give them the type of marketing information they need. And instead, they're crowdsourcing from their own creators and taking from their own creators. Just because it's on a YouTube video doesn't mean it's up for grabs. If somebody submits something to your support, you better be really careful about whether or not you use it. I have seen them ask for all this stuff, and it's just like, we can't give, in the real world, we really shouldn't be giving you any type of information about this. Okay, expectations for a horse, that's one thing, but why do we sit here as players and beta test your game that we have paid for? Sometimes 5, 6, 7 years ago. And then you steal from us. And you wonder why your game is empty 8 months of the year, why your content creation is falling off, like the content creators are dropping like flies. When I did my videos back in November of 2020 or 2021, I can't even remember now, that first video has upwards of 5,000 views. I do a video now and I'm lucky to get 100. To my fellow content creators, to my fellow creatives who are doing more than just saying, I don't like this, it's ugly, and giving them actual actionable critique. You need to have a reckoning with yourself and decide whether or not it's worth it if Star Stable is going to be there watching your videos and taking from you without paying you. Sorry. Exposure that I'm not even getting credit for does not pay my rent. Does not put food on my table. And as I'm essentially disabled, that's kind of important. Anyways, most of you probably haven't noticed, but I've taken down all the Project Mystic Writer stuff. We've taken down Project Mystic Writer website for the most part. It's under construction. And I've taken it out of my Discord. I'm not going to ask you guys to help with the artwork or anything like that, because that's not, again, not fair. People need to be paid. And both Becca and I want, to pay people. If we're going to make a video game, we want to do this the right way. We don't want to exploit labor in this country. Kind of like, or out of the country. Kind of like the same reason why I'm not actually in fashion design. Very exploitative industry. I don't know how much people are going to continue to say things, have meta, have theories, have ideas, and putting them out in public, whether they're Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, YouTube, Discord. I don't know how a lot of these young people who do not understand how copyright works and do not understand that, companies really aren't supposed to be taking from their customers ideas from their customers because of legal reasons. Plagiarism bad, plagiarism illegal. I don't know how much that this is going to change, because I've literally seen on Reddit, I've been working on a race. Do you think our stable would like it? And I have to bite my tongue and say, don't send it to them, because then they can't use it. If Star Stable devs weren't out here on social media and the CEO suite and the executive producer, if they weren't out here saying, oh, we're watching your stuff, we're trying to interact with the community type of thing, I would be like, make as much as you want. Have fun. But because they are, and because we've seen this terrible pattern of behavior, of them exploiting minors in their ambassador program and taking from creative people who are, have all these ideas and stuff, I have to warn all of you to be very careful on what you put out there. Even if it's just simple constructive criticism of, your trees are too small. I know my next video is going to be titled Old SSO was better and here's why. Or, old SSO was better. I'm not going to say and here's why, because, I want people to click on it. But, that's because I've seen this massive controversy. And it's not technically, it's not me going, this is how you should fix things. This is me going, there's this massive controversy, and here is why it was actually better. But after that video, I don't know how much Star Stable content I'm going to be willing to do. I have lots of, AuthorTube stuff to talk about. I've got books to write, And I'm just kind of sitting here watching this train wreck going, where's my cocoa and my popcorn? But you're all going to have to make your own kind of reconciliation if you're a content creator about how much you're willing to put out there. Even if it's just photo reference or small ideas. This is very chilling, and it should be chilling on the community. And I didn't want to say anything unless I had proof. Now Jane's coming out and saying it. And now I have to go, yeah, be careful, guys. And this is not a situation where, as a creative, as someone who loves the concept of fandom and who wants people to be able to participate in fandom and love and joy, I ever want to be. It's not where I want to be, okay? Take care of yourselves. Think hard about, your work, how much you want Star Stable to use it before putting it out there. Stay safe. Bless. And I'll see you in the next Star Stable video. Old Star Stable is better.